player who stands head and shoulders above the competition. A player who can simply be referred to as God. When asked who the greatest League of Legends player of all time is, there is one name on the lips of every esports fan: Faker. He is nothing short of a legend. Taking him down makes titles feel that much more valuable, and watching him win reminds us that while form is temporary, Faker is forever. Faker playing at his peak is indistinguishable from art, and with him performing the best we have seen in years, the World Finals stage will be his canvas. It is rare for Faker to face a player that has been in the scene for almost as long as he has, but Xiaohu is an absolute legend in his own right. The LPL player with the most titles in history, including 3 MSI championships, has faced Faker before on the world stage. But he has never been able to take down the king on the road to the biggest trophy of them all. In his first World Finals, Xiaohu has a hunger that cannot be sated by anything other than the final missing piece of his incredible career: the World Championship. If Xiaohu can play at his best, even the unkillable Demon King himself may not be enough to stop him from finally getting his prize.
TP coming in, Faker looking to make the play, he gets ruler, Owner goes in, and again the combos are clean, the hostile takeover is damn well hostile.
This is the final featured matchup of 2023, presented by Mercedes-Benz, and the hopes of both their teams and their regions ride on the shoulders of these two legends. Glory awaits one, and for the other, a return to the grind. No matter today's result, we're about to be treated to 2 of the greatest mid laners to ever touch the game, facing off on the world's biggest stage.
What a matchup, and as said there, Faker looking for his 4th, and Xiaohu, who's never been able to make that. And also in terms of kind of their pedigree, they are both amazing, but we have to say Faker has been playing out of his mind. Xiaohu, unfortunately, has not been that on form.
Yeah, I mean, Faker's legend is as long as League of Legends is itself. Even just looking at him versus Xiaohu, he has eliminated Xiaohu 3 times at Worlds in the knockout stage. You can't, he has so much of an advantage here, and the individual plays that he has actually pulled out have been thoughtful as well as mechanically executed super high level.
Has he been the best mid laner at Worlds?
The only argument I'd have against that is maybe Knight, but it's hard to say it. Like, he knocked out Knight, he made this play that sent T1 to the finals. It's hard to argue that it's not Faker who's #1.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's become a little bit of a meme, but you can't stress enough how important his voice and comms is. Like, Kobe, you stressed that people should go back and look at comms from that team fight, just because the way he calls everything, the way that he sees the map is so crucial to T1's success.
And we got a little extra insight too when this year in summer he had a hand injury and T1 plummeted in the standings without Faker. Then when he returns, they immediately ascend back to the top. They get to World's Finals again. It is crazy how much fuel there is for this Faker fire.
Yeah, and then by contrast, obviously, Faker has actually eliminated Xiaohu several times at the World Championship. The only time that Xiaohu has been able to best him is at MSI, and that is huge because I think the big thing with Xiaohu, as you look at like his year here, obviously, Weibo struggled a little bit in summer. Pedro already covered that. Regionals, he was such a massive part to get this team here to the world stage, but on the world stage, he has not performed nearly as well as Weibo would want him to be performing, especially going into the championship.
You still have to give this guy credit though. Like, Xiaohu has never lost an international finals, and every single time he has won that international finals, it has been against an LCK team. Kingzone Dragon X, Damwon Kia, T1, and there's only been 3 teams ever in the history of competitive League of Legends that have managed to take down an LCK team in the finals. You're looking at EDG, Taipei Assassins, and RNG with Xiaohu. This guy has been instrumental to getting his teams here, and 2 of those teams that managed to take down LCK teams already have their Worlds title. It feels like Xiaohu now has to earn his one here today, and it could be the moment where he gets it.
Was that a
monologue?
No, mini log.
You're the master. You're the judge.
I don't know. Yeah, and it is, I mean, you have to give him his credit, and he hasn't been having the best tournaments, but it only matters what you do today, you know? He only has to, well, only has to show up is a big task at hand, but we have to give him the benefit of the doubt that this would be the day for him to do it, in terms of all the experience about being on this stage, about shot calling a team under stressful situations.
And I think as well, when you look at like his road to get here, Xiaohu's kind of had to dismantle his legacy to a certain extent. He beat EDG with Uzi to make it to the world stage. That was the guy he won his first MSI with. He just watched Gala be beaten by T1 on the opposite side of the bracket, the guy he won his second MSI with, and then he went up against Bin in that semi-final, the guy he won his third MSI title with. He's had to take everything over the course of his years and look them dead in the eye and say, can I do this with a new team on my own? And now the final boss is in front of him with Faker.
Yeah, and some of those he was top lane, you know?
Yeah.
I think the other big thing about Xiaohu is when I talk about this Weibo team and I'm like, okay, we haven't seen their final form, it feels like we haven't seen all 5 of their players play at their best together. And Xiaohu is like one of the players I'm looking at and being like, he was insane in regionals to drag the team here, and then he's been a little bit lackluster. So if that happens,
just one day.
We know it can happen, so why not today? But as said already, we've talked about him a lot, and I think it's only just Faker, the longevity of his career as well. And I wanted to just pull up everyone he's played with and had success with, and I think this is such an important key when we look through the lens of the longevity of his career at his career, because Faker is a mid laner that's had to adjust to different teammates, different junglers, different play styles, different impact on the team, and that is one of the most impressive things, to stay stable across all those iterations.
Yeah, and I think the big thing about Faker is that as we look at all of his teammates over the years, he has had to evolve as a mid laner, right? Like initially he came on, he was this genius mid laner, immediately kills Ambition in his first game. It's massive. They go to Worlds, they win his first year. But starting in about like 2015, 2016 is really where you saw him have such an amazing understanding of the map, really start playing for his teammates. So as the game has evolved, so has Faker to stay at the top.
It is absolutely insane what you need to have that sort of longevity, and that's why everyone respects him so much. No other player has that.
Hasn't. Let's hear from the GOAT himself with Lore and Ji-Sun after their semifinals victory over JDG in the Verizon Game Day interview.
When I talked to Kyria, he was telling me about finals last year and how you got complacent maybe after winning semifinals. And I remember an interview of you saying that you learned so much through defeat especially. So what are the learnings that you're going to carry from the loss last year to get the title today?
매 패배로 인해서 이제 어떻게 경기를 준비하고 또 경기를 해야 더 좋은 경기력이 나올 수 있을까, 그런 것들을 많이 또 배웠던 것 같고요. 그리고 아무래도 이제 4시드 팀이다 보니까 좀 작년에는 어느 정도 방심을 하는 경향도 조금은 있었을 수 있었다고 생각했는데 올해 들어서는 이제 그런 4시드 팀일수록 좀 더 기세를 많이 타고 또 선발전부터 올라오는 팀이다 보니까 절대 방심하지 않고 준비를 할 것 같습니다.
So after every defeat, I learned so much about how to plan for the game and also how to play the game. So I got so much learning from the previous experiences. And also last year, to be completely honest, we were going up against the 4th seeded team of the LCK. Maybe we kind of was a little too feeling comfortable or maybe even confident. But with that experience, I kind of realized that actually because they're the 4th seeded teams, they made it all the way from the regional qualifiers, which means they're on a great momentum. So I think because we got so much learning from last year, this will be different.
This year will be different also because even though this is T1's 6th final, this is your first time playing finals in Korea, Faker. How important is this one for you and how will you make it count?
네, 한국에서 경기를 하다 보니까 아무래도 많은 팬분들이, 특히나 한국 팬분들이 더 관심 있게 지켜보실 것 같고, 그만큼 이제 저로서는 그 팬분들께 더 즐거움을 드리고 영감을 드리는 대회가 되기 때문에 그만큼 중요하긴 하지만, 개인적으로 이제 어디서 경기를 하는가가 저에게 있어서는 그다지 중요하지 않고, 저는 이제 매 경기 최선을 다하는 게 목표입니다.
Because it's in Korea, I know there are so many fans, especially Korean fans, paying attention to this matchup, and also it's gonna be a great inspiration for them. But for myself, I want to say where the game is being played is not that big of a deal. You know, I just want to focus on my play and do my best.
Well, looking forward to these finals and wishing T1 best of luck. 인터뷰 감사합니다. Jisun, thank you so much, and Shox, back to you.
Thank you so much, Lauren Jisun from the past. Awesome. Now they're in luck, all the Korean fans, because in the top lane, 2 Korean top laners, Kobe.
2 Giga Chats, I would say, for sure in the top lane. And if we're looking at miracles, possible miracles for Weibo, Teddy said that's what they need to win this series. I'm looking at the Shy. He has shown already dumpstering Bin in 2 of their games versus BLG. I'm not going to say 1v9 because that's a bit hyperbolic, but it's not that close. The Shy was the biggest carry factor in 2 of those games. Huge importance of the Rumble pick as well as the Graves counter pick into the Aatrox. And he had massive numbers, huge CS and damage differences here. And that's against Bin. This is no slouch. This is who people are touting as the very best top laner in the world. So masterful stuff from him. On the other side, from Zeus, he had advantages over 369 in almost every single game that they also played. And while he didn't have the flexibility shown in Champion Pool, he played mostly Aatrox and then had the one Yone counter pick, he also still had a massive influence on this game in a world where people are always memeing on top lane as not having this big impact and being an island. These 2 top laners that have made it to this stage have certainly had the impact.
Yeah, this top lane matchup is going to be so much fun. And for Zeus, I think, obviously, it's kind of a return to form for him. But also, he was able to get his revenge against 369, right? Because last year, when these 2 teams faced each other at Worlds, I felt like people were really looking at 369 being like, you know, he's so much better. Even though T1 won, he got his revenge this time. And he's been such, the fact that he's been able to be so stable for T1, I think has been so key to their success.
But he has to show up today.
It's true.
Finals, he has to, okay. Stay strong in the finals.
Stay sharp. So let's talk about the champion pools then, as we will be. We're moving closer to Champ Select. It's still a ways away. Talk to me about the champ pool for Zeus then.
I mean, they share a lot of champions.
They do.
Both these top laners have played a whole bunch. But Zeus actually has 2 that the Shy has never played in his career. We're looking back at career-long stats. Now, if you played against Zac in solo queue, you know that actually the Conqueror top Zac does a lot of unexpected damage. And we saw the power of the Yone counter pick specifically into the Aatrox, which has become very prevalent in the current meta. So these are 2 tools that Zeus has shown that the Shy hasn't shown yet.
Oh, that's so cute, these unique champions.
Isn't it?
But look at the Shy.
The
Look
Shy's
at
unique champion pool. Right over here, this man is willing to slam
What's that Anivia doing?
Yeah, this man is willing to slam anything in top lane if he thinks it's going to be a good counter pick. So that's where you see stuff like the Anivia, the Callista and Vayne top. You can kind of blame the Shy for proliferating those in top lane, the Victor top, the Viego. I think the thing I really want to stress about the Shy, not only is he super aggressive in a lot of these matchups, as people know his playstyle to be, but he is more than willing to try something incredibly off the wall. We just saw something unexpected in the Graves, whose pushing power transformed that win for them. Yeah, I mean, we saw Quinn. That wasn't that great.
I'll do that. But Dagda, do you want to talk about the shared pools? Yeah.
Because this is absolutely insane. The fact that for Zeus, who hasn't played anywhere near as long as the Shy, to have put out so many of these different picks, but also been able to perform in a plethora of different styles. I mean, you can see the things like the Tryndamere, the Camille's, the Fioras, these big split pushers that could be the carries, but also you got the Malphites, the Orns. They kind of are just a beast on so many different styles, and what's made them so good for so long.
Yeah, okay. Zeus is about quality of picks, not quantity, okay?
It's not about the size of the pool, it's what you do with it. Okay, I got you. But speaking of the Shy, ahead of his return to the World's Finals, the Shy joined Lore and Jisun after their victory over BLG in the Verizon Game Day interview.
This is what makes the run extra special for Weibo, the fact that you kept on defying expectations. I feel like a few people, except Casual, maybe believed in you coming here at Worlds. What is the biggest improvement for the team, you would say?
우선 사실 저희 팀적으로 소통이 원활히 이루어지는 팀이 아니었다고 생각해요. 그래서 소통 부분에서 정말 한 팀 같지 않나라는 생각이 들 정도로 꽤 많이 성장한 것 같고요. 다른 팀원들은 이제 아마 스스로가 알 거고, 저 개인적인 경우에는 좀 리스크지는 플레이에 대한 리턴 값에 대한 명확한 결론을 알게 된 것 같아요. 그래서 확실한 결과값이 있을 때만 리스크를 지기로 했고, 아니었을 때는 좀 더 안정적인 플레이 추구하는 식으로 하다 보니까 네, 좋은 결과가 온 것 같습니다.
First of all, I want to say our communication has become a lot cleaner. Early this year, I was like, our communication is not clean at all. It's so messy. But I think right now, we are now all on the same page. I think all the other players are believing so as well. And for myself personally, I think I finally able to find a conclusion of perfect calculation of risk taking place. So for example, I can calculate everything and see if it's actually worth the play, I go for it. But if not, if it's a risky play, without any like promising outcome, I would not make that play.
You have been so confident, Shai, and I think this confidence shows on stage. And it's an amazing story for you, especially 5 years ago. You were here in Korea winning your first World Championship. You will be playing finals again for another title. How much of a different player are you compared to back then?
우선 5년 전에 네, 같은 결승에 올라왔었는데 5년 전에 저는 그냥 게임하는 어린아이였다고 생각합니다. 네, 지금은 좀 더 많은 성장을 했고 인격적으로 많은 성장을 하다 보니까 이제 소통과 플레이적 면에서도 좀 더 특별함을 보여줄 수 있는 것 같아요. 좀 더 냉정한 판단을 하게 되는 것 같고 그런 부분이 좀 바뀐 것 같습니다. 네.
5 years ago, I was just a boy playing video games, but now I think I grew up so much as a person. So I think my decision making and also my play has become a lot more kind of mature. So I think I'm really happy with how much I improved so far. And I want to say, like right now, I have learned so much about making plays and making decisions.
The stars are aligned for Weibo. Last year, DRX LCK 4th seed was winning Worlds, defying all expectations. This year, LPL 4th seed Weibo made it as well to finals, defying expectation with you as a captain. Can history repeat itself?
뭐 이런 미신이잖아요, 사실 그죠? 네, 미신은 정말 좋은 것 같아요. 저희 팀이 미신에서 우승하라고 하고 있는데 뭐 제가 말할 말이 뭐 있겠나요? 그냥 미소 짓게 만드는 말인 것 같아요, 그냥. 네.
I mean, it's a superstition, right? And I like that, you know? Why would you like reject that? It's all about us winning worlds, so it just makes me wear a big smile on my face. I'm really happy about it.
I love the script and Weibo's story and your story as well, Shai. 감사합니다. And thank you. Good luck on the finals as well. And Jisun, thank you so much for the translation.
It's going to be so interesting to see if the top laners with all their might can kind of skew the expectations for where the heavy points of this matchup are going to lie, because as we've seen from the bracket stage so far, bot lane has been so incredibly important and pivotal, not in the least when you have someone like Gumayushi up versus Light.
Yeah, I mean, both these AD carries have been beasts for their teams, but bottom lane is also critical because of dragon stacking, and we've seen especially T1 have been magnificent at that. Let's start with Guma though. This guy has been absolutely insane. And I want to point out specifically the Varus pick, because stats will tell you a story, but Guma to me has had 2 of the most Giga Chad plays at the entire tournament. Number 1, and these are not versus Slapshes, by the way. Number 1, the Varus at the tower versus Aphelios trying to get the 1v1. Boom, 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 shoots Gala down, stands his ground, wins that duel, and then the 1 versus Ruler and 369 where he flashes both the Q from the Zeri and the Q from the Aatrox, and he still wins it is absolutely insane, like scripting level stuff so far from him.
I need that
Yeah,
about Light too.
I do think on the opposite side, though, Light has been very underrated his entire LPL career, because you're looking at a guy who comes from the likes of the Uzis, the Rulers, the Viper when he was there, like so many incredible Jackie Loves, the incredible AD carries that are in this region make it hard to stand out. But Light is slowly but surely back from LNG, growing now where he was with Iwandi onto this roster, has becoming and making his name, like Gala did at these international events, to become an insane AD carry that now he'll get to prove if he can take down Gumayushi.
And it's a critical part of their strategy that we've seen. They send Weiwei, they send resources, so much stuff into Light to get him to carry.
They do, and for more on Gumayushi, we have a World's Finals edition of Draw My Life with Emily Rand.
Draw my LCK life. Gumayushi. World's Finals Edition. Woo! Lee Gumayushi Min Hyung first caught the public's attention when his Seoul City KEG team actually upset LoL Esports at the 2018 Kespa Cup. This roster also included Doran, Elim, Plex, and Pop. Kume is actually the 6th of 7 total siblings, which also include former SK Telecom T1 Terran, StarCraft 2 player Innovation. In middle school, when Guma told his father that he wanted to go pro, his father said that he had to reach Challenger by the end of middle school, and he hit it in the 8th grade. In LCK Spring 2022, Kume had 219 kills, which is the most for any LCK player in a split, and he beat Ruler's previous record of 209 kills. Alongside his laning partner Keria, Kume is an instrumental part of T1's ability to dictate the global meta, especially regarding bot lane 2v2s. And also, like his T1 teammates, Kume has been very outspoken about how much the DRX defeat really humbled them and has fueled their desire to win. And I stress that people should go watch the T1 documentary on Kume. It's really, really good. It's like 2 hours long, but I highly recommend it. A lot of these facts came from there. And then, yeah, I just can't stress enough, like you talked about the Varus, 2v2s are so important, and Guma has been such an instrumental part of this T1 roster for the past few years.
And the sentiment that we saw in that documentary is the sentiment that runs across all of this T1, which we will touch on later as well. But the fact that they have been so good, but just not good enough to win those finals, and how much regret they had. That shot of Keria breaking down into tears and Faker looking over, I will never forget it, and they won't either, I don't think. But I'm glad you mentioned it about the bot lane in general. We need to talk about support, about the support picks in general, how they've evolved over this tournament, and what we expect today.
All right, I prepared something awesome. So let's talk about the evolution of the support meta and how much Keria has been at the forefront of it, because this has been so cool to watch across the entire tournament. Keria being the first player to bring out the Renata against Team Liquid. Sorry, Kobe, there are going to be some LCS defeats in here.
We forced them out.
Ignar bringing out the Tahm Kench, and then Keria bringing out the Bard against C9. This Bard pick has actually become huge and has been something he has further iterated on in their more recent series. As you can see him kind of helping destroy C9 with it. Kellen bringing out the Lux, which is the Caitlyn Lux lane, and then Trimby bringing out Milio against Weibo Gaming, which is super important because then Crisp on Weibo actually picked it up as that R5 counter pick that we talked about against the Renata. Then T1, Keria again, flexing Senna into the bot to subvert the Blitzcrank pick, and then bringing out the Ashe. When we talk about T1 doing these bot lane 2v2s, it is double 80 carry that we see them doing a lot, and this iterated in the Weibo BLG series, where both of these teams were really, really trying out bot lanes like the Kalista and Caitlyn that you see here, and the Varus Ashe for Weibo on the other side. And then once again, I already brought this up, but Bard was such a massive pick for Keria and T1 in the JDG series. And again, like, I wanted to kind of map this out just to show how at every step, Keria has kind of been there. And this is one of the reasons why T1 is here in this final, because they are able to influence the meta so much. They're basically dragging it back to spring when they were the best team in the world.
Like, come on.
Yeah, and also how Weibo has reacted, right? Because Crisp has been one of the supports to take a look over and be like, I'm going to take that for me.
It does make you wonder how we start off with Alistair at the start of this tournament,
how did
though.
that happen?
And I think it kind of showed there where Keria in that clip was able to take down Missing on the Alistair. It felt like the JDG weren't really able to contest the 2v2 bot lane for T1. And now it's going to be a big moment here to see if Light and Crisp can try and respond. I do think we're starting to move into a meta that favors Crisp a little bit more. Like when you think back to when he won his World Championship, it was things like the Thresh, the Tahm Kench, he can play back while still being a playmaker. Doesn't feel like he wants to be on the Nautiluses, so this could actually work a little bit better for Weibo.
And how much, Kobe, is this the key to a possible victory for Weibo? The fact that you do, wow, it's a party. You have to get it under control in the bot lane, or you have to throw a wrench in the whole toolbox to make sure that you're on the best foot.
It certainly is the key to my excitement, because I am most excited for new picks. And Gumayushi, in his interview after their game, said, we have so many more crazy picks to pull out that we haven't even shown yet on stage, and he can play anything with Keria. It just makes me so excited. I think it would also be really funny if we went full circle and we came all the way back now we have all these range supports to people picking Blitzcrank like Draven lanes and going for kill lanes again.
We Carry is prepared for that though, because he's just going to flex on the support.
I think that Carrier might be the one doing it, with Chris playing so many of these range supports, but very excited to see it.
Oh, we're so happy, so excited about the drafts. I think there's such a big opportunity for both sides, and also in terms of what T1 does with their drafts, in terms of when they get into the game, right, Emily? The level ones that have been at blistering pace, running over the enemies at times.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I would want to stress about T1 level 1s as we look at a few of them is that whatever composition they have, they set up so well for it, right? So this is them really taking advantage of the champions that they have here, and doing this invade to also get bot side pressure for the Neela and Senna. And I think at every single step, you can see T1 being so thoughtful about how they want to set up the game, not only from draft, but from level 1.
And it gives them the opportunity to try and punish the fact that oftentimes they do have these double AD carries. Incredibly impressive when you go for the level 1s, means you can set up a ton of vision, and it's given a ton of control to Owner as well, specifically, who, I mean, we saw him get the 1v1 kill against Tarzan off the back of these level 1s. You see him getting control here once again. There's so many opportunities where T1 are able to take these advantages and punish the rest of the game, especially when you look towards, hey, we now get the vision for the early push to set up for early dragons, to then hit the level 6 in the support, to get the early Rift Heralds. It's this knock-on effect that comes from these great level 1 plays that T1 have been setting up.
Yeah, it's so important, in fact, that you see top laners even coming down for the level 1 invades, because this area of the map is such a domino effect. And we had our first ARAM moment of Worlds there, and T1 actually getting a pretty big advantage out of that one. But because they've done it so much already, Weibo are studying this. Weibo are crafting their counters to the level 1 invades, to the draft possibilities in this craziness from T1. So I'm almost even more excited to see what are going to be those Weibo attempted answers, because we've already seen if there's so much attention in bottom lane, then that frees up the Shy to pick all these counter picks in top side, whether they work or not.
Yeah, maybe try the Bel'Veth game 1, see what that
always good for a level 1 invade.
I'm sure you added the whether they work or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I do want to open up kind of the perspective just a little bit as we move closer to the opening ceremony and to game 1. And let's reset a little bit. We're all here today to see T1 versus Weibo play, and just to look at T1 making it to the finals, the context of how many times that they have won it before, 3, the fact that they have another chance, the fact that they have that chance in this arena, which is already full, by the way. There's just so much history in this moment, Emily.
Yeah, and obviously, like we were joking about how Faker is inevitable, but so is T1 against the LPL. Like, when you are talking about Korean League of Legends esports, T1, SK Telecom T1, SK Telecom T1K, whatever you want to call them, has been Korea's team, right? This is the most popular team. I've been walking around Seoul and you just see people wearing T1 gear randomly. I can't stress enough, again, what this organization means to South Korean esports, and then also how much Faker means as, not only the figurehead of this team, but League of Legends as a whole.
And I think for this roster in general as well, I mean, trying to get that win would mean so much. This is potentially the last time that we get to see this roster together. We've already seen Team 1 members talk about that. And for a team that has been so close so often, it feels like they just need that one title to push them into the contention of, was this one of the best teams we've ever seen across League of Legends history?
Honestly,